just a simple video today, an update between things. No mountains, probably a good thing right now is the ripest of ripe for avalanches. It's supposed to be 20 degrees this week, so things are going to be really unstable, but I got a few different ideas, things that I like to try that should be safe, so I'm looking forward to that. I smashed my phone a couple days ago. I had it in the cubby above my kitchen counter. I hit a pothole, it went flying, smashed the screen, so just a minor setback, waiting for that to get replaced. The sunburn that I got in the last video, I got really lucky. It wasn't severe enough. It never peeled. It's just slowly fading away, but I got to be really careful in the future to pack in my sunscreen. So somebody asked on the last video, they're wondering about my backstory, how I got to where I am today, so I'll try to breeze over that. I'm not really a big talker though. I think a lot of channels struggle to keep their videos under an hour, but for me, it's always a struggle to hit 10 minutes, so I'll see what I can do here. I'll start after high school. I've worked just about every kind of factory job that you can imagine, welding, fabrication, CNC, on giant hydraulic presses, paint lines, woodworking, all kinds of assembly and manufacturing, food production, recycling, you name it, I've probably done it. I never really fit into those jobs though. I was just there to make money. A lot of these jobs is just like trying to hold your breath underwater. How long can you last? So in between these jobs, I was doing bicycle tours. I've done pretty much a full perimeter of North America. I'd say over 50,000 kilometers, all self-supported, from Newfoundland to Florida to Mexico, from Alaska to California, and all across the interior as well. So I've spent well over a year sleeping inside of a tent, stealth camping the entire way. That's the joy of bicycle touring, is that it's cheap. You can sleep wherever you want. It's a shame that I never recorded any of that stuff, because I had a number of really funny experiences. One time I slept on the side of a golf course, and in the night the irrigation turned on. I was soaking wet and I had to haul everything out, and I spent the rest of the night inside of a bus stop. Another time up in Alaska, I was taking shelter inside of a culvert, and a flash flood came, nearly wiped me completely out. And as I was climbing out with all my gear, a tour bus stopped right in front of me, and there's about 50 people just staring at me. And another time in Mexico, I slept in an abandoned house, and the cartel kidnapped me in the middle of the night. That one was slightly less funny. I've always been really quiet and shy. I just prefer doing things solo. I'm more comfortable that way. I hate being on boats and airplanes, small areas where you're trapped with people. It just makes me feel really anxious. I need my space. So I started making YouTube videos of my bike tours. So instead of them just being a selfish way for me to cut loose and enjoy my freedom, I had an end product that I could share with the world, and it felt like I was making better use of my time. So those bike tours, they started out mostly on highways and pavement, but over time I moved on to gravel and single track out in the wilderness, bike packing with my fat bike, and enjoyed that a whole lot more. And I was hiking up mountains on those trips too, and that's what I enjoyed the most. So I just kind of imagined that if I could live in a van and spend all my time in the mountains, that would be the best thing for me. I just never imagined this could happen, because I was always struggling with money and just trying to stay afloat. What I was doing, I was living in the city, and I'd find the cheapest living quarters that I could, and take the bus and just work all the overtime that I could. And maybe after like 4 months, I'd have $5,000 saved up so I could go off on another trip. But the last place that I lived at, I was sharing a basement with two other guys, and there was a full family upstairs, kids crying and stomping on the floor. These guys, they were total slobs. I mean, the trash can was always overflowing onto the floor. The sink would be full of dishes. The one guy, he was a telemarketer or something, so he'd be talking on the phone all night long. But they were both built like apes. They were shedding so much body hair that you couldn't see the floor. There was a walking path down the middle, then there was an inch of body hair everywhere else. It was totally disgusting, and that was a turning point where I knew something had to change. So I wanted my own place to live, but the price of a one-bedroom apartment in the city was just way too much. I wouldn't be able to make any savings. I'd still be there to this day trying to stay afloat. I don't know how anybody does it. So that's where all my experience with bicycle touring came into play. I knew how to live minimally. I knew how to be stealthy. It was scary to make the leap, but it was also a smooth transition. When you buy a van, you actually have something. It's yours to keep. You can sell it later if you choose to. Plus, you have the freedom of having your own transportation. You're not just limited to where the bus can take you. It's a huge improvement on quality of life right off the bat. So what I was doing, I picked the night shift, and that solved all my overnight parking issues in the city. And during the day, you can sleep almost anywhere. I was sleeping at grocery stores and shopping malls, public parks. Never once got the knock. The only issue that came up was in August, the full brunt of summer hit, and it was just impossible. So if you live in the South, it's probably not going to work out for you. If I was in that situation again, I'd probably just rent a room for that 1 month of the year. So I quit my last job in August 2019 at a recycling plant. I was making a bit of money off YouTube at that time. It was enough for me to make the move out west, and I had a couple of adventures when I first got here, but then I tried settling in around Calgary. I started putting out my resume. I had a few interviews, but no luck. And around that same time, I put up a video called Living in a Minivan During Freezing Temperatures. I thought it was pretty boring. It was just an average day in a life, living in a van out of necessity. I thought it would get maybe 20,000 views and putter off, but it went viral, and ever since then, YouTube has been my career. I've seen a discussion across the internet whether or not it's still real van life if you're making a living off it. I mean, I think it is. That's still my home, and that's everything I have. The only difference now is that I have to come up with ideas and projects and adventures on a weekly basis to keep it rolling. So I was kind of thrown into it all at high speed. I had no training in video production. My skill set was just basic. It's taken me a long time to learn the ropes of what an interesting video format looks like, and I feel like there's still lots of room for improvement. But this right here, it feels like the pinnacle of all my goals over the last 15 years. Live in a van in the mountains and now have a dog. But my job as a YouTube entertainer is to keep the ball rolling. Sometimes people ask what's next, and I kind of draw a blank because this feels like it. You don't really tune into Bob Ross to watch him do a cabin building episode, but I guess for someone like me, it's more of a realistic possibility. So I think just like world traveling and bigger trips out into the mountains, I don't know if I'd ever do something like Mount Logan or Denali. I bet that would be a fun time. But I think it's also important for me to look back at my roots and share where I came from, and relevant information on van life as it becomes more and more popular, and life becomes more expensive by the second. Well, I think that's about everything. 15 years summed up into a few quick sentences. So I redid the rocker guard across this front panel. It was all starting to chip off after winter. Looks pretty good now. I also put a strip there underneath the door. I think it's just like from walking in and out all the time, it gets all chipped off there, and it was starting to rust pretty bad. I might carry a strip all the way along there. I'm just gonna give this a month and see how durable it is. It'd be nice to go all the way around the wheel well. It's starting to rust out there and underneath there as well, as all chipped out. I also did the full length on this side too. I was going to get a shop to do this for me, but I'm a big fan of doing it yourself. I actually found some goggles for Rocco. The first two pet stores that I went to, they thought I was joking around. I just wanted to play dress up with my dog, but the third place understood, and they had these Rex specs. They look like pretty good quality. Been training her with this clear lens in. She's been dragging her head in the dirt, so it's all scuffed up now, but I don't think I need this one. I'm sure they offer replacements if I do. The important thing is that the tinted lens is in good shape. This is the one we need when we're up in the mountains in the snow, when it's really bright and sunny. It's just so damaging on your eyes. A dog can go snowblind just like a human can, so it's important that they're protected. It takes time. She's getting better with it though. So just a simple video this week, and I'm going to wrap it up with a mystery that I've been trying to unravel for myself. So I've been walking through this forest, and I found all these trenches that stretch for kilometers, and they zigzag all over the place. There's actually one right here. And I found a few pieces of flume as well. So they were trying to supply water to something. Could have been livestock. But it doesn't make any sense because this is all on top of a hill. There's no water source anywhere near here, so I can't make any sense of it. How they managed to get this quantity of water up here. So you can see how overgrown this trench is, and there's some pretty big trees growing out of it. But if you look in here, you can see where they built a junction where it splits off in two different directions. So up on the crest of the hill there is the deepest trench. It must have been the main line that fed everything else. I followed it for a while. It seems to hold at I think 964 meters elevation, and it contours around towards Lake Enid, but that's still 3 kilometers away, and the outflow on that is just like a trickle. It wouldn't be enough to feed all this. But right up here is the biggest section of flume that I've found. So yeah, this just goes straight down the hill, feeds into some other trenches. It gets narrower down at the bottom. There might have been pipes and pumps and all kinds of machinery out here that they took away when they abandoned it. Then this goes off in a 90-degree angle that way at the top. There's another section of flume here. I wonder if this was up on stilts to bridge this valley, because there's a trench right up there and some more pieces of lumber. I don't know, I just can't vision it, this all in operation. It's a massive project, and it just branches off in all these different directions and leads to nothing. If it was just to provide water for livestock, then why not just have a big tank and drive a water truck out here once a month to refill them? That's how they do it down in the southwestern states. But yeah, I think that's the end of this video, so thanks for watching. Thank you to Patreon supporters, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully up in the mountains.